Hello, so I'm back. Today, is the first time I feel like somewhat fresh. Yeah, today's like the first time I've been out of bed properly, and it's been just over a week since I had my laparoscopy. And yeah, feeling a lot healthier, stomach still sore, you know the drill. I just am so happy that finally now I've got a diagnosis. Obviously the diagnosis isn't brilliant because it's not amazing and it is a chronic condition, so I'm going to have it for life and I'm never going to be able to get rid of it, but I'm just glad that I know what it is and that I am not going crazy, you know, because a lot of girls are made to feel that way. So what led me, it's such a long story, but I'm going to cut it down short. So what led me to believe that I had something wrong with my body as such is when I was 17 or 16, I think 17, no, it must have been older than that, I think it was like 18 or 19, I got admitted to hospital for what's the word? They suspected I had appendicitis, and then I was in so much pain, couldn't stand up. I was crying a lot, taking loads of painkillers, nothing was working. So I went to the hospital. It was in like the bottom of my cervix, the pain. I can remember it still, but it was like here, this area, like right down the bottom. And they were like, when they took me into the hospital and examined me, they pressed on my stomach and they were like, oh my God, we think she's got appendicitis, we need to get her admitted straight away. So they admitted me, did my bloods, came back with an abnormality, so I went for an MRI, emergency one obviously, and then after I had my MRI, it came back and they said that it was clear and there was evidence that I had a cyst or cyst-like structure that had burst in my ovaries and that it was just basically, that's what was causing the pain and that I should be fine. Gave me paracetamol, sent me home, were like, if you have any more issues, come back and see us. So I was like, okay, weird. Obviously scares me at that age, didn't really understand what was what and what was going on. And then after that, I then went back, I went back the day after because again, the pain was unbelievable. And I stayed in overnight, they admitted me. My parents had gone on holiday at this point because obviously they assumed that everything was okay. I said to them, like, go on holiday. I had all my older siblings at home, so if I needed anything, they were there. Then I got admitted to hospital again, and it turns out that they refused to have another investigation in me. They admitted me for pretty much no reason. Another doctor came in who was a male doctor, nothing against men, but anyway, listen. So a male doctor came in and he went, so where's the pain? And I explained it to him and he went, that sounds like you just pulled a muscle in your groin. And I was like, what? I haven't pulled a muscle in my groin. I kind of know what that feels like. Being in sport my whole life, I knew what breaking a bone felt like, kind of knew what ligament tear was, muscle tear, because I've had all 3-4 of them or whatever. So I kind of understand the difference and what the pain feels like. Anyway, he made me feel stupid because he was like, you've definitely pulled a muscle in your groin. You should know that considering you do sport. Why are you here wasting my hospital's time? And I thought to myself, oh my God, I feel so stupid. I just didn't know what to do, felt incredibly stupid. And I just thought, I'm not even going to tell anyone about this because they probably are going to think that I'm also ridiculous. So I just let it go, whatever, finished. I just never wanted to go back to the hospital because I thought, oh God, like, am I actually wasting their time? Made me second guess myself. Anyway, fast forward to uni, and bearing in mind I'm having the excruciating pains once a month, been led to believe that's normal. And obviously my brain and stuff was like, yeah, that's normal. I've always had a bit of anxiety. I've always been a very anxious character, even though I come across the complete opposite. And anyway, it got to a point my anxiety was really bad at uni, like awful, seeing the doctor a lot, having some counselling and things like that. And then I was getting really, really bad pains again. I was getting really ill all the time. They actually thought I had glandular fever at one point, and it turns out that the hemoglobin in my blood was so low that I was extremely anemic, and what I found out is that actually glandular fever can actually be in your system undetected, even in a blood test. So it can be like, it's not one of them things, it won't show you the antivirus to it, or it's something along them lines, don't quote me on it, but you could have had glandular fever and then not known about it a couple months later if you had a blood test. So that's what they think happened to me. Obviously I had low anemia, had low blood level, iron in my blood, sorry. And then I also suffered with tonsillitis 4 times that year. I had laryngitis. I was extremely under the weather, on top of the fact that I had really bad period pains, and they were causing me severe bloating, really bad acne. I couldn't wear certain clothing because it was uncomfortable. At certain times of the month, I couldn't eat food. So I would get to the point where when I was due on, I would gain probably around about 5 kilograms, 2 to 5 kilograms, which is a lot, it is quite a lot to gain from not really eating or doing much. And it turns out that it was just water retention, really. And also my hunger hormones were just through the roof. And then once I come on, I would be in so much pain, I wouldn't be able to stomach anything. And I'd sometimes be sick, I'd be doubled over in pain, I would be with hot water bottles, I don't really like painkillers myself, because I only take them when it's like absolutely necessary. But because I've been having this pain for so long, I always thought it was absolutely fine and that I didn't need painkillers and it would just go away in a few days, which it did eventually, but then I'd always get really dull aches in the bottom of my cervix. Anyway, time goes past. I started having really, really bad pain whenever, TMI, I know, whenever I was intimate with somebody, I would get really excruciating pain to the point where I'd actually end up crying, because I would feel like somebody is quite literally ripping out my insides. And then anyway, I always got led to believe I was stupid, kept going to the doctors, kept getting help, kept getting this, that. They then prescribed me with something called menonethic acid. Whether or not I've pronounced that right, I have no idea. And it turns out that that can only be used whilst you're on your period. You take it 3 times a day, and it does something along the lines of like dissolve clots or something. I don't really understand it. And then anyway, fast forward to now, I think it was the 2nd year of COVID. I caught COVID and I had to stay in my bedroom for 10 days, so it drove me absolutely insane because no one else in my family had it. So I was literally isolated completely to just my bedroom and 1 bathroom for like 10 days to 2 weeks, because it was just before Christmas. Anyway, I had an appointment with the doctor, I rang them, and I just had a massive meltdown, and I was like, what else do you want from me? I was like, I've got anemia, my stomach pains are bad, I'm crying all the time, I'm just going absolutely crazy. I was like, just want it to stop. I was like, because I don't know how to stop it. It's not stopping. None of the information you've given me is useful. None of this contraception's working. It's just driving me absolutely fucking crazy, and no one is here to help me. I was just going absolutely nuts, but my mum was like, Luce, you need to push. You need to push, you need to push, you need to push, because this is not normal. So anyway, I then ended up saying to the doctor, well, you know, if I end up in hospital or something happens to me, it's not my fault, because I've tried so many occasions for over a period of around 7 years to get you guys to help me in any way possible. I've had internal ultrasounds, external ultrasounds, endless MRIs, like it's ridiculous. And then he said, oh, I'll call you back in a minute, I'll call you back in a minute. I got put on the waiting list. By this point, it was 9 months long, and I said to him, I'm not having it, I'm not waiting 9 months anymore. I've called you guys relentlessly for help and you never it's not working. And bearing in mind, I know this sounds really dramatic, I was at the end of my tether. I had 7 years, I mean that's a long time to be feeling like this. So anyway, I then called back and he was like, right, I've got you an emergency appointment, it's in 2 months time. And I was like, what? So how has it gone from 9 months to... I wasn't complaining. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, went to the appointment. The consultant, the surgeon, was like, do you get hair on your chin? I said yes. Do you get excessive bloating? Yes. Do you get excessive bleeding? Yes. Oh my God, that was the most embarrassing thing ever. Do you get severe hunger? I do. Do you get depression and anxiety? Yes. Does it debilitate you? Yes. And the list just went on and 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 on. And then he was like, oh, right, that's it. We need to put you in for a laparoscopy. And I was like, I just sat there and I just burst out crying. And he looked at me and he was like, why are you crying? I was like, this has got to be a joke. I was like, because you're the only person that's actually listened to me and been like, right, we need to actually do something to investigate this further. Anyway, that was last March. And it's only, God, what, like 9 to 10 months later I've actually had the surgery, and they actually told me I had it. I don't get upset, but like, it's just life changing, you don't understand. Sorry, getting upset. But basically it's like, you've been told for so long that you're stupid, but actually you're not. And it's mad to think so many girls actually go through this. Since I've put it on my Instagram and made it apparent that I've got it, the amount of girls that have come forward being like, oh my God, same thing happened to me, same thing happened to me, same thing happened to me. And when I researched it, it's like 1.5 billion women have this in the UK undiagnosed. And I want to be the one to like make women self-aware of who they are and what is normal for them and what isn't. And it's just madness, and I just want women to know that you're not crazy and that it will get sorted, and there is always light at the end of the tunnel. I will show you. So they did a laparoscopy on me, which is keyhole surgery, and I'll show you a photo. If you're squeamish, don't look, but this is what my scars look like and like my surgery. So they went through my belly button because that's where they put the camera in, because basically you can't diagnose endometriosis unless you have a laparoscopy. That's literally the only way that they can be for definite, like, yes, you have it. So I got it done, and then they obviously cut open my belly button, then they cut open an incision in your pelvis, like one side of your pelvis to put in. They blow up your tummy with carbon dioxide, and then they give it a rummage round and stuff, and just so you can like easily see inside. And then the other side, they usually do 2 incisions, but this time they chose a 3rd one because they actually found the endometriosis and had to laser it off from where they found it. So that's what the 3rd incision is. So sometimes it can be 2 if they've seen it and it's not bad, but the 3rd one is to actually act on it and take it off. And then since I've spoken about it, there's one case I've heard which actually made me feel sick. This girl has had it so badly that she's now got to have reconstruction on her bowel because it was on her bowel, and they didn't treat it properly, in the sense of they didn't believe her and stuff. So she's now got it on her bowel and got to have a bowel reconstruction. And she's had 3, I think this is like her 3rd one, and my heart goes out to her because mine's not even on that end of the scale because I've had mine lasered off now and it was really small. But if that's all I went through for that small, for the bit that they found, which they said was smaller, I just can't believe what the pain she must have gone through if it was like on her bowel. And like one of my friends had it on her, I think she said like her liver and her kidney. And it's just madness that like this chronic illness that you can't see, that's been disguised as like just a bad period, actually is something that's can be quite life-threatening if left not untreated. So I'm so glad that I managed to get checked when I did. And unfortunately it is a chronic illness, so if you do have it, it is for life. But it's so common. It's as common as type 1 diabetes, but yet it's not got the same like awareness because it's a woman's period. It's like, oh, who cares? But type 1 diabetes and things are all seen as like, they are super important, don't get me wrong, they are. My heart goes out to anyone that does have the condition, but at the same time, ours is like, it's a chronic illness that's not seen and not believed, you know. So that's the hardest part about it, is that it's not normal. But like, it is normal. It seems not normal in society, but now I'm so glad that the awareness is coming out for it. And I know this is a lengthy video, and thank you if you have stuck to the very end of it, me ranting on about everything. But that's how I found out that I had it. And it's just like, so endometriosis is like, you've got your endometrium wall, and your endometrium wall creates like scar tissue and stuff, and like produces your egg, well, doesn't produce the egg, but it helps the egg drop during your period, and that's what like sheds, which creates you to bleed. So what grows on that line, so with endometriosis, it's the same tissue that grows on that line, but it grows outside of the womb. So it can be on your liver, your kidneys, your bowel, your intestines. They're just the little places that they could be. It could be in your vagina, on your vulvas. Like, I googled it after, and I've done so much research into it, and I thought, bloody hell, I don't understand how so many people have not even looked into it. It's crazy. But yeah, I think now I know I've got it, I'm definitely going to be raising awareness for it. And on my next few videos, I'll be explaining how the system works, how to prepare for a laparoscopy if you have one, and also how you can adapt this situation to your training. But thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for understanding that I've been quiet for a little while. I'm not going to be able to exercise for like 3-4 weeks. So also you've got to bear with me on that one. But I've got a lot of exciting things coming, and I love you all so much, and thank you.